Well, here I am in the alchemical den, and I'm recording this sequence of essays on short video clips for YouTube, beginning a much larger project of what I call the Emerald Grail Library. And this is a compendium of teachings that I've been kind of assembling for a 40-year period. So I'm doing it in light, which is the Grail ring, in sound, which is the sword ring, the power of the word or tone, and the stone, tone. So it's 3 rings and it's designed on the web. And I'm leaving you on a magical journey. And why I'm doing it is I'm going to describe how the morphogenetic field works and how it was revealed to me and how, with discovering this energetic system, you can tap into a very deep healing code of regeneration based on what I call the axis mundi, or world tree. So bear with, and I'm going to tell you a story, and we can travel down the rabbit hole, so to speak. So enjoy the ride, and I guess Megan's putting music on. Are we recording now? We're going to continue. So I'm going to describe the journey. This is the 5th scroll, which is I call the missing scroll. And how these templates, I had 13 scrolls in all, came to me through design, through pencil and then erasing and line drawings, encoding a mystery to do with a language base, basically an English language base, because I'm an Englishman, and basically these codes of this language, which I have been working with for a 30 to 40 year period, a language base, describing a Grail myth and story. So I've delineated it into 3 rings: the first ring, the second ring, and the third ring. And this is the Grail, the field of the first ring. This is the sword, and you'll see the emblem of the sword here. And the stone, the only reason you perhaps know it's a stone is it's a square, but otherwise it's spiral patterning. And then the language goes around the rings, and you'll discover in all the scrolls use language. I'm saying the same thing. It's an eternal language, and now it's composing itself in a song, and I call it a dragon song because it's a sequence of poetic, bardic language, which is inspiring me so much that I find myself living in this field as a regenerative structure based on art and creation and vision from the interior world. So in the 5th scroll, I've more or less deciphered how the morphogenetic field works and how you can tap into what I call the 5th dimensional code, which is in alchemy called the panacea, the 5th principle, the coalescence or alchemical elixir, and how the elixir is regenerative. It's actually healing. It's a very, very deep technology, but it's based on an original code in the DNA, in the nervous system. It's actually based on a higher vibration blueprint. And I can attest to this because I'm having experiences with it. And I'm consolidating it through a story. And I'm leading you step by step into the mystery through Merlyn, behind the veil, into a higher vibrational band or frequency called the unified field, where all things are revealed from. And I am practiced in my art. I am practiced in my art in the last 2 to 3 years with these 13 scrolls of this divine revelation from Merlyn the seer as a prophetic story to do with the new earth and the emergence of a new civilization. And in that, I'm describing through the epic story of the Grail and the sword and the stone and a ring cycle to do with 12 rings. These are the first 3 rings: the Grail, the sword, and the stone. And because it's a mystery, I ask you to ask questions and enter and participate and let your imagination fly. And let go and surrender to an old way of seeing that I can educate you into a new comprehension of a living library. An arcane library called the Emerald Grail Library, or in past traditions, the Emerald Records of Hermes Trismegistus, the thrice-born immortal. It's with great pleasure, after much research, I reveal these teachings now in Avalon. To begin, at the push of a button, you can live and understand the esoteric and hidden knowledge principles of the occult library, given through a new symbolic wavelength, a story that you ask and make your own. What great pleasure. I'm Zenon, the alchemist. This is my story, and this is simply the realm of the fifth scroll, the missing scroll that contains the 13 scrolls of my future destiny, which will be published as a coloring book and journal and a deck of cards. Welcome to our mystery play, our map, our mystery art play from Avalon, let us say. And let us play. Oh, hey, oh, hey.
Thank you, Zenon, for your wonderful introduction. I'm going to ask a few questions while we're talking like this in a relaxed way with this microphone. So, hello, I'm Megan Hewlett, and I work with Zenon, helping to produce many of his publications and his media and just archiving everything. I want to interject simply to try and ask Zenon a couple of questions about this particular scroll. I mean, he's very good at giving you an overview, and he's also very good at very briefly summarising all the work that he's done. And it's such a deep amount of work, to actually go into it, we would probably be here for weeks. I'd like to ask some specific questions about this scroll, so that we really understand the depth of how you've worked with this scroll. So if we look closely at the image of the scroll that you've produced, how many hours work was that?
Well, this was probably 30 to 40 hours of prolonged, intense, creative, artistic endeavor, often with no music or no outer interface. I was purely in a state of meditation and revelation. I needed so little because I was talking intuitively through a higher intelligence band, which was revelatory. I hope.
And when you say a higher intelligence, can you explain what you mean when it's revealed to you through your visionary work? What's that process?
Well, it's been a 40-year process, but I will reveal that basically it belongs to the heart's intelligence and not the mind. The mind tends to divide, the heart to unify. So in order to enter the thesis, we kind of have to let go and surrender the mental speculation. You may not know a word I'm talking about. Nevertheless, there's something I'm saying that is true and resonates. And that's the truth that's concealed in the great silence. Poets, bards, creators of all sorts felt something bigger trying to work through them. And that's what I'm accessing. I hope.
Thank you, Zenon. And just to clarify, this particular scroll, the fifth scroll, it was one of the last scrolls you produced, because I am aware that it was almost like an anomaly to you. You couldn't quite find the fifth scroll. There are, in fact, 12 other scrolls and a number of other intricate mandalas and drawings that Zenon has produced in this body of work, which has lasted over 2 years. In this particular scroll, your final panacea, healing panacea, we have the 3 rings, which we can see very clearly. And then we also have a sword through the centre of those rings. Could you explain what it was that was happening to you while you were producing that, and what was it that they told you? Please, thank you.
Thank you. or they, don't mind me, because I do hear voices, but they're kind of impulses from a higher intelligence band. It's really just one voice. But nevertheless, when I'm programming this or drawing it, I'm working with energetic patterns of double helix spiral energy. And so I'm really weaving an etheric web of intention. And by encoding it through words, I'm setting the field of unity into a discovery. And the discovery is in very, very deep states of meditation. My field is quite raised, and basically I'm very sensitive, and people call it channeling. It's almost like I'm channeling, for lack of a better word, a higher dimensional frequency. And so by spending so long prolonging a very active, passive state of meditation through art, I'm able to have a revelatory experience and excel into, I call it the realm behind the veil. And that's a revelation of the process of basically where seership and Merlyn and archetypes of the Grail exist as a living, dancing, programming from a higher dimension. And it's also where master intelligences reside. But these are the invisible worlds. And that's where I've had access, and I'm accessing you. We all have it inside of us, so we can discover that innate map that's in the central nervous system. And thank you for asking, Megan.
Yeah, thank you, Zenon. And I just want to explain that all of the scrolls represent a form of a map, a form of mandala for healing and reflection. I'd like you all to try and engage with them in some form, and by just meditating on them, spending some time actually absorbing the energy that's gone into them, because they all have an individual message of healing. Well, thank you, Zenon.